So we are here today to talk about what's going on with the visa processing. And I have an urgent message for you, and I want you to listen to everything that I say very carefully because it's extremely important. We are now in July of 2023. And my message to you, to everyone out there who's thinking about applying for your husband, your wife, your fiance, your children, your parents, anyone seeking a visa, anyone seeking any immigration benefits. And my message to you is that it is later than you think. What do I mean by that? We have an election next year in the fall of 2024. Everyone knows this. And we could have a new president in January of 2025. Now, I hate talking about politics. Everyone has their own opinions on politics, and it's almost like a religion. People have such strongly held views. Republicans, Democrats, Biden, Trump, etc. But if we strip away the rhetoric and the politics, we know, number one, that there is a possibility that President Biden will not be reelected. And he could be replaced by Trump or DeSantis or one of the candidates from the Republican Party. It's impossible to know the future. But one thing that we can say about Trump is that we know him. We know how his administration acted for the 4 years when they did have power. And we can be certain that he will do everything he can to stop immigration to this country, legal immigration and any other types of immigration. What would that look like? The Republicans have a deep hostility towards immigration. And you need to know that if you're seeking any immigration benefits, this takes time. If you're applying for your husband or your wife or your parents and you started now and your loved ones were in a foreign country, it could easily take 18 months. It could take longer than that. And that's why I'm saying it is longer than you think. Because if you don't take action right now, immediately, you could be faced with a consequence where it is impossible to get a visa, to get a green card, or to get any other types of immigration. When Trump ran for president in 2015, for the 2016 election, he said that he was going to stop all immigration from Muslim countries. And when I heard him say that, I thought it was absurd. It's clearly discriminatory and unconstitutional. And I mean, how could you stop immigration from a Muslim country? You can't do that. That's clearly, it was just sort of something he would set on the campaign trail to attract attention in the way that Trump is uniquely great at. But I never imagined that he would actually do this when he got in office. And I never could, call me naive, but I never imagined that a court would allow this to happen. But we saw just that. And that was a preview of coming attractions. And when you look at what Ron DeSantis does, and my point is not about Trump or DeSantis or Biden. I'm not saying that Biden has a great record on immigration. It wouldn't, there's plenty of criticism to go around. But we know that Trump or DeSantis or any Republican administration would be really an apocalyptic moment for immigration. It would mean the end of immigration for at least as long as they remain in office. That's what I come to see. I think you need to take immediate action on your immigration case. What does that mean? First of all, if you have a delayed immigration case and your case is really stuck and it's unreasonably delayed, then you need to strongly consider a mandamus lawsuit, a lawsuit to challenge the lack of processing of your case. And that's something that my team and I are particularly good at helping people do. Secondly, if you've been thinking about applying for a family member or for yourself, you should do so now. Don't keep waiting. Do not wait. Time is not on your side. and don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. Sometimes people look at the processing times and it causes them to freeze up. They'll say, well, how long is it going to take for me to get a green card? And I'll give them an estimate, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is. And they'll think, oh, that's going to take too long. Or they'll say, how long does it take for me to get my sister a green card? I want to apply for her. And I'll say, well, it could take 10 to 15 years to get your sister a green card. And they'll think, oh, that's too long. But you know what? 10 years goes by. 15 years goes by. Your sister may want a green card 10 years from now or 15 years from now. And the cost of taking action and filing an application for your sister or your brother, it's not that much. You have to fill out a form, you file it, we can take care of this easily for you. And it would give you the legal right to apply for a green card in the future. So my message to you, to anyone with a pending immigration case or someone who's been thinking about applying for immigration, is that the time for action is now. Now, I'd like to introduce a guest today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Josh. Thanks for having me. It's very nice to have a live with you. Hi, everyone. This is Halim. And thanks for joining us today. I was an applicant just like you, and hopefully, I got my US visa last year. And but before that, I was in I was actually placed in AP for more than 10 months, and it was so disappointing and so frustrating for me, and not only me, my immediate family as well, because they asked me, any news? Did you send email to embassy? What's up? It was so bad, and I was checked. I checked STAG website every week to see any updates, but unfortunately there wasn't any. And I sent multiple emails to embassy, but I didn't receive any response. So um, we are here to answer your questions. You can ask Josh your question, and I'm here to translate them in Persian. And I hope you get your visa soon.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your help. Our To help the community, we have a group in Telegram, and it's mainly for Persian visa applicants, a lot of whom have unique immigration issues, and many of them are stuck in administrative processing. But the issues and the questions and the answers we're going to discuss today are probably going to have a lot of application for people from many other countries, really anyone going through the application process, because the delays that Persian people face in their consulates, the consulates that they go to, are the same ones that Mexican applicants face when they go to Juarez, or that Guatemalan applicants face when they go to Guatemala City, or the Canadians when they go to Montreal, and so on and so forth. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Ask me anything.
Yeah, sure. I received so many questions, and before that, thanks for your great point. And I want to share that in Telegram channel as well. And the first question I received is that my medical exam will be expired soon. So can I request embassy to expedite my visa?
Um, okay, let me just get the formatting right here. So the question that you've asked is, if your medical exam has expired or is expiring, can you request that the consulate expedite the processing of your case? A lot of times people contact me and they say, Josh, my visa is expiring in 60 days. We need to take action. And the reason that the medical exam expiration is so important is that to do another medical exam costs money and takes time. A lot of times you have to perform a new exam that's going to take 6 weeks or more. So I can understand how difficult it is and why people want to avoid doing another medical exam. And to make matters worse for Persian applicants, and also this applies to Cuban applicants, is that there may not be a way to do the medical exam without traveling to a third country, which makes it even worse. You can always request that your case be expedited. There's a process for requesting expedited processing of your immigration case if you can show extreme hardship or other factors like this. Now, my firm does not make such requests on behalf of clients. And the reason that we don't do that is that we found that it's ineffective. So we had an applicant recently who, on his own, informed the consulate that he had been diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. He was being treated for cancer. He needed his wife to join him in the US. He requested expedited processing of his immigration case, and it was denied, even with a cancer diagnosis.
Oh my God, that's very unfortunate.
It is. It's cruel. And so I always encourage people to submit an expedite request if they're inclined to do so. But the real strategy for getting an immigration case that's delayed or that's stuck, to getting that processed and approved in an expeditious manner, is to file a writ of mandamus lawsuit. If you request expedited processing, good luck. I hope it works. Keep your expectations low, but it really is not the most effective way to do it. I think it's the equivalent of waiting, basically. So that's my answer to that question.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me translate that to Persians. دوستان عزیز، یکی از سوالاتی که پرسیده بودین این بود که یکی از اپلیکنت ها از آقای جاش پرسیدن مدیکال من داره باطل میشه و چون زمانی کمی مونده تا 6 ماه پر بشه، آیا من میتونم برای اکسپدایت درخواست بدم یا نه؟ آقای جاش توضیح دادن که در واقع شما این امکان رو دارین که هر زمان درخواست اکسپدایت بدین، ولی طبق تجربه‌ای که ایشون با اپلیکنت های مختلف و کیس های متعددی داشتن، متاسفانه اکثر مواقع در واقع اکسپدایت پذیرفته نمیشه و حتی یک کیس رو ایشون مثال زدن که شخص کنسر پیشرفته داشته و درخواست اکسپدایتشون رد شده. ایشون متوجه هستن که در واقع هزینه های سفر به یک کشور ثالث برای مدیکال مجدد زیاد هستش و در واقع سخته که یک بار این پروسه انجام میشه و مجدد شما بخواید برید مدیکال رو انجام بدید. تنها راهی که برای این قضیه وجود داره read of mandamus هست که شما میتونید اقدام کنید، mandamus رو سریع فایل بکنید تا سریعتر ویزاتون رو دریافت کنید. Okay, that's great. And let me ask the next question. Someone asked that, how long does AP take for marriage cases? What is the maximum time?
Okay, so the question is, how long does it take for administrative processing to be completed in a marriage case? So before we get to that, let's explain what administrative processing is. You go to your visa interview, and instead of being approved or denied, they tell you that your case is in what's called administrative processing. This is also known as 221G or refused. And what they do at that point is unclear. Sometimes they issue a request for additional documents and information. Most frequently, we see people getting a form called a DS-5535, which is sort of a questionnaire for extreme vetting. They ask you for 15 years of your travel history, all your social media handles, your employment history, personal information about your family members. It's really quite an invasive form. And after you submit that form, you're just sitting there and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. And naturally, it's an important question when people say, how long is this going to take? But the answer, and one of the worst things about administrative processing, is that there is no limit to how long this can take. And the longest wait of administrative processing that I've seen is 7 years. We have an applicant who waited 7 years in administrative processing. We filed a lawsuit. We got that case approved. Many people get their administrative processing completed in 1 or 2 weeks. And I'd like to have one further comment to shed some insight into this. Most people think that administrative processing is some sort of a review that's being conducted on the applications. And once this review is complete, they'll get their visa issued. And that's not at all what I think is the best way to think about administrative processing. The best way to think of administrative processing is that it's a complete failure. It's a breakdown. It is the lack of processing rather than a separate review. So when you're told your case is administrative processing, I want you to envision your application in a folder on a shelf, and it's just sitting on this shelf. No one's looking at it. No one's doing anything. And it's just sitting there for however long it takes for them to go and get your application off the shelf, open it up and review it. And sometimes that takes a week, sometimes it takes a month, sometimes it takes 2 months, sometimes it takes years. And there's only 2 ways out of administrative processing. One way is to wait, and the other way is to file a writ of mandamus lawsuit, which I'm sure we'll talk more about.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, actually, it's unpredictable and no one can predict how long does it take.
One of the worst parts about it.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so let me translate that. دوستان عزیز، سوالی که پرسیده بودین این بود که دوره AP یا Administrative Processing برای دوستانی که کیس ازدواج دارن مثل IR1, CR1 چقدر طول میکشه و اینکه حد اکثر زمان AP چقدره. آقای جاش توضیح دادن که در واقع هیچ حدی براش وجود نداره، ماکسیموم زمانی نیست که ما بتونیم بگیم که برای مدت AP مثلا تا 1 سال طول میکشه. از 2 ماه 3 ماه بوده و بیشترین مدتی که ایشون شنیدن 7 سال بوده، کیسی که برای مدت 7 سال توی AP بوده. و اینکه ایشون توضیح دادن که administrative processing به این صورت هست که شما بعد از مصاحبه به جای اینکه ویزا بگیرید وارد یک پروسه میشید که در واقع هیچ کاری داخل اون انجام نمیشه. یعنی خیلی از دوستان فکر میکنن که داره روی پروندهشون ریویو انجام میشه، پروسسینگ انجام میشه، ولی در واقع انگار که پرونده توی بایگانی هست تا زمانی که مجدد به سراغش برن. به همین خاطر این AP رو ایشون به نظرشون یک تأخیر هست، یک صبری هستش که شما صبر میکنید برای پردازشی که روی ویزا انجام نمیشه و 2 تا راه دارین، یا اینکه منتظر باشید که در واقع کلیر بشید یا اینکه مندیمس فایل کنید، اقدام کنید تا سریعتر بتونید ویزاتون رو بگیرید. Great, thank you. And let's
I just want to take a moment to say hi to everyone out here watching. We are live on Instagram, YouTube. We have a Facebook group for visa delay applicants, people suffering with visa delays. We're live in that group as well. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook as well. I may be leaving out other platforms. But it's great to see everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th of July. We're also getting questions coming in, and I want to take a moment to answer 1 or 2 of these. We have Satar Rudini. I want to thank you for joining. He says, hey, Josh, thank you for your time. We are almost 60 Iranian applicants stuck in AP at the embassy in Ankara from October 2022. All applicants who received the DS-5535 did not receive any updates. Some filed mandamus lawsuits, but their motions to dismiss all are applicants from F and J type visas. Yeah, he said, Sadir says, writ of mandamus lawsuit from different embassies received motions to dismiss. Thank you, Satar, for joining us. I'm not quite sure what your question is. But I want to take a moment to express my solidarity with your cause. I'm really sorry that each of you are waiting. I'm really proud of the work that I've done to help scholars and students and people on exchange visitor visas, J-1 visas, and their spouses come to the U.S. so they can pursue their careers, their opportunities, their research, things like this. The writ of mandamus lawsuit is highly effective in these cases. Motions to dismiss. What does this mean? So when you file a lawsuit, sometimes the government will respond with a motion to dismiss, and they'll make legal arguments as to why they have no responsibility to process the visa anytime soon. And you have to be prepared to fight back. You cannot be discouraged when you get a motion to dismiss. Our office gets them all the time, and we fight back, and we fight to win. And victory is what we consider victory is visa issuance. So we've had cases where the government's filed a motion to dismiss, and then the visa is processed and issued. I count that as a win. We've had cases where we've defeated the motion to dismiss, but yet the visa lingers on. And I don't count that as a win, even though I defeated the motion to dismiss. So keep your eyes on the prize and don't get discouraged, because you can do this. So let's go to some more questions, Hallie.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Do you want me to translate that, or because
Sure. Mhm.
yeah, ask his question in English maybe. Okay. دوستان سوالی که دریافت کردیم در مورد این بود که گروه زیادی از دوستان ایرانی متاسفانه بعد از مصاحبه توی سفارش آنکارا توی ایپی قرار داده شدن و مدت زیادی هست که منتظر هستن و سوالشون در خصوص موشن تو دیسمیس بود و آقای جاش برشون توضیح دادن که گاهی اوقات هست که بعضی از کیس ها دیسمیس میشه و ایشون جواب رو آماده میکنن و ادامه میدن قبل از اینکه در واقع پرونده به کورت برسه میتونن با نماینده مذاکره کنن و همچنان استدلال هایی رو ارائه میکنن و از پرونده شما دفاع میکنن تا بتونین ویزاتون رو دریافت کنید. Thank you so much, Josh, and thanks everyone for joining us today. You can ask your questions here, or you can send us your question via Telegram. And let's go for the next question. Sarah asked that my sister applied for me 15 years ago, as you mentioned. Her case is for F4 at Ankara Embassy. I've been waiting for so long, and that's enough. I want to end AP by Mandamus. What is the first step?
Okay. So the question that I got here is if you file an application, the question is if your sister applies for you and it's taken 15 years, what can you do? Is that the question?
Yes, this is the question.
Has the person had an interview yet for a visa?
No, actually, yes.
They did.
Yeah, she had her interview at Ankara, and she was placed in AP for about 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Okay.
she wants to
Very good.
AP.
So your sibling, your brother or sister, files a petition for you. You wait 10, 15 years. You finally get your interview. And then instead of getting the visa that you deserve, that you've been waiting for so long, then you're told that your visa, your case is stuck in administrative processing. They request that you do DS 5535. And after that, you don't hear anything for 6 months, for 5 or 6 months. What do you do? Well, for anyone stuck in administrative processing, there are two options. One is to wait. And that's what this person's done. She's been waiting and waiting and waiting. But instead of getting the visa that she deserves, she's told to keep waiting. So instead, I recommend that she consider filing a writ of mandamus lawsuit. Sue them and fight back and challenge this delay. It's not too long to wait. It's not too early to take action. 6 months or 5 months is plenty of time for them to do whatever review that they've had. They've had your application for 15 years. So any review that they need to do, they've had plenty of time to do it, and they need to take action. And only a lawsuit will cause them to pay attention to your case. And as I started this presentation, I think that inaction and waiting is not in your favor. If you keep waiting, you could find yourself in a situation where the consulates are suddenly not issuing visas anymore because President Trump or President DeSantis says that it comes out with an executive order, and the courts, which are controlled by the Republicans, are going to have no problem with that. The second thing that can happen is that the visa bulletin changes each month, and often not in your favor. So you could wake up in August and to discover that the category that you have for your visa is no longer current, and it could be stuck indefinitely. Now, I don't know that this will happen. I'm just throwing that out there. But I remember I had many Afghan clients and Afghan applicants who were almost completely unable to get their visas issued because the Taliban took over the country and the U.S. consulate in Kabul closed. So I point this out only to remind you that waiting and delay and inaction is not in your favor. And I would encourage this person to strongly consider a mandamus lawsuit.
Yeah, that would be perfect. And now it's the time. So دوستان عزیز، سوالی که مطرح شد، خانمی هستن که خواهرشون براشون 15 سال پیش اپلای کردن که بتونن گرین کارت بگیرن. ایشون کیسشون F4 هست، بچه آنکارا مصاحبه داشتن، ولی بعد از حدود 5 ماه هیچ خبری دریافت نکردن و میخوان که ایپیشون سریعتر تموم بشه و مندیمس رو فایل بکنن. آقای جاش توضیح دادن که اینکه شما بعد از حدود 14-15 سال تونستین که اینترویو بگیرین و ولی بعد از اون فرم 55-35 رو پر کردین و همچنان منتظر هستین، هیچ خبری نیست. زمانی هستش که شما میتونین مندمس فایل کنین، به خاطر اینه که هر ریویوی که میخواستن انجام بدن توی این فاصله 15 سال میتونستن انجام بدن و این 5-6 ماهی که شما صبر کردین زمانی کمی نیست که بخواید اپلای کنید. و همینطور اینکه نظر ایشون بر این هستش که ویزا بولتن رو که شما در نظر بگیرید هر ماه میتونه که تغییر بکنه و متاسفانه بعضی اوقات به جای اینکه پیشرفت بکنه عقب گرد داشته و به همین خاطر کیسایی بوده که کارنت بودن ولی وقتی که ویزا بولتن آپدیت شده دیگه کارنت نبودن و باز هم باید منتظر باشن. نکته دیگه هم این هست که آقای ترامپ اگر که رئیس جمهور بشن رویکرد سختگیرانه نسبت به مهاجران دارن و ممکنه که تصمیمات ایشون باعث بشه که شما امکان دریافت ویزا نداشته باشین، همونطوری که دوستان افغان به خاطر ورود طالبان به مشکلات زیادی برخوردن و خیلی از اونها دیگه نتونستن ویزا بگیرن. That's great, Josh. And
I want to take a moment to answer a few questions that have come in.
Sure.
One question that I really liked was from our friend on YouTube, Amir Bani Muhammad Ali. He says, "Hi, Josh. My case for F1 visa has been updated several times. What do these updates mean without being cleared?" I think it's a really good question, and I want to take a moment to answer it. First of all, I'm sorry that you haven't gotten the visa that you deserve. And secondly, I think that what you're referring to is the CEAC system, CEAC, and it's an online system that allows you to track the status of your visa application. And what you should know is that this system is highly inaccurate. I want you to imagine a series of monkeys banging on the keyboard. And that's what you're getting when you get these notifications from CEAC. You should pay attention to them. I'm not saying you should ignore them completely, but don't take them all that seriously. Now, to answer your question directly, the updates, what do they mean? Do they mean, my opinion is that they probably don't mean anything. They're probably completely meaningless. I think the CX system is highly automated. And when you get an update, it's not because something has actually happened with your case. It's probably just some systematic message that's going out to everyone. And we've seen misinformation all the time. And that brings me to another question that is very similar and ties in. A Facebook user says, "Hello, Mr. Josh Goldstein. We started processing Mandamus for my sister's case with your firm," which is a great idea. It says, "which is stuck under AP for more than a year now. We keep checking the status of the visa on SEAC. 4 days ago, the status of the visa changed from refused to expiring soon. Can you guide us through what to do about it?" Okay, so you're a client of my firm, and we can help you with this directly. But I want to answer the question for everyone out there. If you see expiring soon, this is an incredibly serious message, because according to the regulations, if you don't take action within 1 year, there is a mechanism by which they can terminate your visa application. So the expiring soon message is something to take very, very seriously. But it's easy to cure. You can cure it by contacting the consulate and informing them to keep your case alive. And this is something we do to help our clients. Also, I think that even though the expiring soon message is a serious one with serious consequences, I think it's often inaccurate. So it's both serious and often probably inaccurate. So I think you should pay attention to it and respond, but don't go into a panic. And if someone out there is listening to that and you have this message, the expiring soon message, and you need case-specific help, reach out to my team. You can call the number on the screen here, 213-262-2000. You can call and you can book in a strategy session with my team, and we can guide you on what to do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let me translate that for our friends. دوستان دو تا سوال در مورد آپدیت های سایت CAC پرسیدن. سوال اول این بود که دوستمون کیسشون F1 بود و چند بار آپدیت شده بود و میخواستن بدونن که آیا این آپدیت ها معنی داره و در واقع چی میتونن برداشت بکنن. آقای جاش گفتن که نظر ایشونه که این آپدیت ها اکثرا کاملا اتوماتیک هست و از طرف سیستم ارسال میشه، به همین خاطر لزوما معنی خاصی نداره که شما میتونید این سایت رو ترک بکنید، ولی اینطور نیست که هر آپدیتی رو بتونیم بگیم به چه دلیلی هست یا چه معنی داره. سوال دیگه که پرسیده شد، دوستی در واقع برای خواهرشون اپلای کرده بودن و مندیمس هم فایل کرده بودن. وقتی که سایت سیاق رو چک کردن دیدن که وضعیتشون از ریفیوز به expiring soon تغییر کرده و پاسخی که آقای جاش دادن این هستش که این خیلی مورد مهمی هست. شما حتما باید پیگیری کنید و حتما باید به سفارت خودتون ایمیل بزنید، بگید که پروندهتون فعال هست و در جریان هستش، چون اگر که 1 سال بگذره و شما با MVC یا سفارت در ارتباط نباشین، کیستون به طور اتوماتیک ایناکتیو میشه. بنابراین هر زمان این وضعیت رو دیدین سریع مکاتبه کنید و به سفارتتون اطلاع بدین. That's great. And would you like to answer the question you received, or do you want me to read the next question?
I'll do one more and then you can hit me here.
Sure.
Our friend on YouTube, Parya Zahabi, she says, "Hi, after facing a motion to dismiss, which one is better? Withdraw and refile later or fight back?" That's a great question. I think the answer is that it depends. I know that's not super helpful, but those two options are ones that my office uses repeatedly. Sometimes we advise clients to withdraw the lawsuit and refile it in a different way at a different time or something like that. And other times we respond vigorously. So yeah, let's go to some more questions.
sure. Let me translate that. دوستان یکی از اپلیکنت رو پرسیده بودن که وقتی مورشن تو دیسمیس میشه پیشنهاد شما چی هستش، اینکه ویدرا کنیم یا اینکه ما هم متقابلا پاسخ بدیم و اصطلاحا بجنگیم بر پرونده. آقای جاش توضیح دادن که بستگی داره به شرایط خاص هر کیس. شرکت ایشون برای کیس های مختلف رویکرد متفاوتی رو پیش میگیره. گاهی اوقات پیشنهاد میکنن که ویدرا کنن و دوباره مندمس رو فایل کنن، گاهی اوقات هم نه، خیلی به طور فعالانه دفاع میکنن و میجنگن تا زمانی که بتونن ویزا رو بگیرن. That's great.
Yeah, and if anyone out there is listening and wants help with their immigration case, another thing you can do is just send me an email. I put my email on the screen here, josh@jgoldlaw.com. If you send me an email in the subject line, I want you to put no more waiting. And I want you to tell me a little bit more about what's going on with your case, and my team and I can reach out and we can help you out.
Sounds perfect. دوستان شما میتونید به ایمیل آقای josh@jgoldlaw.com ایمیل بزنید و سوالتون رو بپرسید. میتونید یک بریف کوچک از شرایط خاص کیس خودتون براشون بنویسید که بتونن بهتر راهنماییتون کنن. And we also have a Telegram channel. Could you please share the ID on this?
Yeah, can you message it to me somehow?
Sure.
And I can share the screen.
Yeah, sure. One moment.
Okay, we're about to put our Telegram channel. Telegram is great if you're interested in 221G, administrative processing, visa issues, specifically for Persians. There's a lot of Farsi language content. Hala is the administrator of this group, and it's something that I'm really proud of because I love working with the Persian community. So in just a few minutes, we'll put that on the screen.
That's perfect.
But why don't you go to some more questions if you could, if you have
Yeah,
some.
sure. Actually, someone says that on the embassy website, she actually copy pasted actually the part of this announcement. It says, except in case of emergency travel, that is serious illness, injuries, or death in your immediate family, before making inquiries about status of AP, applicants should wait at least 180 days. And
Right.
so, as you mentioned at the beginning of our live, she just wondering, I'm in the mentioned situation. How can I let them know?
Sorry, the question is how can you let the consulate know that there's been a serious
illness? Yeah.
Well, I think part of the problem that visa applicants face when it comes to delayed visas is that there really is no meaningful way to communicate with the consulate. If you send an email, then what they do is they respond. Often there's an auto response and they tell you to go online and fill out a form that they have. And when you do that, you never hear back. So that's been the experience that I've had. I think that you should just make use of all the available channels that are publicly indicated in terms of communicating with the consulate to inform them that there's a serious illness. You could also work with a local congressman or senator. But as I answered in my previous question, I don't have much confidence that expedite requests would effectively be processed faster and that it would work. And I think that the real solution to visa delays is to file a writ of mandamus lawsuit. And I mean, as far as that email about waiting 180 days, a lot of people think that they have to wait 180 days before they can file a mandamus lawsuit, or that something magical is going to happen in that 180-day period. But really, that's just a boilerplate email They mentioned 180 days, but your visa may be processed before or after that date. The 180 days is really a meaningless period of time in terms of the visa.
Yeah, unfortunately, there isn't any a way to get the answer for many questions we had. I sent multiple emails to the embassy for my case, my sisters, and my dad's, but I didn't receive any response. So let me translate that for our friend. دوستان، یکی از سوالاتی که ما دریافت کردیم این بود که در واقع یکی از دوستان شرایط امرجنسی دارن و دیدن که توی سایت MBC نوشته شده اگر بیماری جدی هست یا خدای نکرده یکی از فامیل های درجه یک شما فوت کردن یا اینکه مشکل اینجری هست، آسیبی دیده شما در واقع خدای نکرده آسیب دیدین، میتونید به سفارتتون اطلاع بدین و ازشون بخواید که برای AP شما کاری انجام بدن. آقای جاش توضیح دادن که از روش هایی که به صورت عمومی اعلام شده مثل ایمیل سفارت یا شماره تماس ها میتونید استفاده کنید و درخواستتون رو بدید برای اکسپدایت بررسی سریعتر به پروندهتون. ولی متاسفانه چیزی رو که ما در عمل میبینیم این هستش که اکثر اوقات پاسخ درستی دریافت نکردن دوستان و در واقع کیسشون اکسپدایت نشده، رسیدگی نشده. این هستش که اگر مشکل جدی خدای نکرده دارین میتونید شما بیستان اون بر اساس شرایطتون مندیمس فایل کنید تا اینکه سریعتر بتونید ویزاتون رو بگیرید. That's great. Thank you, Josh. And
More questions?
Yeah, sure. As you know, and you mentioned.
Oh wait, the Telegram group. Did you share that with me?
Yeah, actually, I sent it. Yeah, did you see it?
No, where can I find this?
In our chat.
On WhatsApp?
No, it's StreamYard.
Okay, hang on one second. There's so many.
You resend it to your WhatsApp as well?
Let's see here. Hold on one second. Yeah. I want to share it with our friend Satar so that he can join us.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. The name of our Telegram group is here. Visas for Iranians.
Yeah, you can search this on Telegram and you can find our channel. We update this channel every other day, and you can follow the progress of visa bulletin, monthly visa statistics, answers to your questions, news from USCIS, NBC, and other important news related to your immigrant cases. And yeah, and also you can ask us your questions. Mr. Josh Goldstein always answering your question, and you can have your answer in person in our Telegram channel as well.
All right, what other questions do we have? These are good ones. Let's take a question here from Instagram. We have Shima Mosayabi. She says, he or she says, how long should we wait for a visa interview for my parents? Visa type is I-5. They are in Ankara, and we are 15 months now waiting after the approval. Wow, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear that your parents have been waiting for their visas. And the question is, what should you do about it? The first thing that I would do if someone were to come to me with this sort of situation is I would want to look at the timeline for when the case was filed. And then the other thing that I would look at, so let's step back for a moment. When it comes to visa processing, there are basically 3 steps. One is the filing and processing of a visa petition, in the I-130, for example. Second, the case goes to the National Visa Center, where they ask for more forms and more fees. And then once you've completed that process, they notify you and they say that your case is documentarily qualified. And the process of getting through the National Visa Center to the point that your case is documentarily qualified could take 6 months or so. At that point, then the State Department schedules an interview at a U.S. consulate in abroad. And once the interview is scheduled, the person goes to the interview and presumably gets their visa. Although, as many people in this group will tell you, often people are stuck in administrative processing. So those are the 3 steps. The problem is you do everything right, and then what happens is you go through the National Visa Center process. You've done everything. You've taken 6 months. You get documentarily qualified. And then at that point, it just stops and they don't interview you. And what we typically do is we have people, once if you've waited 15 months from the point that you were documentarily qualified, then I think that your case is really unreasonably delayed. And at that point, I think that you should not wait any longer, and you should consider a writ of mandamus lawsuit. And this is something that my team can help with, that my firm can help you solve this problem. You want to, the basis of a mandamus lawsuit is there's been an unreasonable delay. And if you've waited for nearly a year and a half after you were documentarily qualified for an interview, and they still haven't scheduled your interview, that's just not reasonable. And I don't think that's defensible. And I think you should sue. And so these mandamus lawsuits are not just for administrative processing. They're also for people who can't seem to get interviews, or people who apply for naturalization. They can't get a naturalization interview, or they go to their naturalization interview and then they don't get a decision, or their green card stuck, or their work permit stuck. So it could be used conceptually, it could be used for almost any type of immigration case before or after a interview. The only common thread is that the delay is unreasonable by some subjective measurement.
That's great, thank you. دوستان سوالی که دوستان پرسیده بودن برای پدر مادرشون هست. کیس IR5 هست که حدود 15 ماه از زمان documentary qualifiedشون یا DQ میگذره و ایشون میخواستن بدونن که چه کاری میتونن انجام بدن. آقای جوش توضیح دادن که در واقع توی مراحل مختلف یه پرونده میتونه تأخیر غیر منطقی وجود داشته باشه. مثلا تا زمان دریافت اینترویو ممکنه در واقع شما به شکل مدت زیادی بخواید منتظر باشین، یا اینکه مصاحبهتون انجام شده توی AP هستین و چندی ماه طول کشیده، یا نه documentary qualified شدین، مدارکتون رو انویسی تایید کرده ولی همچنان منتظر هستین تا وقت سفارت بگیرید. شما وقتی که از طریق سایت آقای جاش گلدستین درخواست میدین، یک فرمی هستش که بررسی میکنه آیا کیس شما کوالیفای هست یا نه. اگر که ایشون و تیمشون ببینن که امکان برد برای دفاع از پرونده شما وجود داره، پروندهتون رو به عهده میگیرن و شما با فایل کردن مندیمس میتونید درخواست بدین که ویزاتون سریعتر بهش رسیدگی بشه و دریافت کنید. و ایشون گفتن که چون شما بیشتر از 1 سال و نزدیک به 1.5 سال هستش که منتظر هستین وقت سفارت بگیرید، این یک دلیل کاملا موجهه که بخواد مندیمس فایل کنید که سریعتر به کارتون رسیدگی بشه. Okay, that's it for this question. And do you have new questions, or may I?
Yeah, I wanna take this question from Immortalza, our friend on YouTube, with a very threatening little picture of himself, but I'll take his question here. He says, I started the process in February 2020, the I-130 filing. It took a year plus to get approved. I waited 18 months for an interview, and now I'm getting delayed again for 4 months in administrative processing. I'm so frustrated. He says, yeah. So I think that's horrible. I think that you have been a victim of unfair and unreasonable processing times. And to add insult to injury, instead of getting your visa processed at the interview, they've told you to wait more. And I wouldn't be pleased if I were you. I don't think that you have gotten the service that you reasonably deserve. And I think that you should consider filing a mandamus lawsuit, and don't wait too long. You know, if you've waited maybe a couple more months and you're still in administrative processing for 6 months or more, then I think that you really have a strong case for mandamus, and you shouldn't wait anymore, considering the amount of time that it took them to even process your application. So you've now, at least from the beginning, you've now waited, I don't even know how long, maybe 3.5 years, something like that. I would not be pleased. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. And I would do something about it. I wouldn't let that stand.
Yeah, perfect. دوستان، یکی از دوستان متاسفانه مدت زیادی منتظر شدن که وقت اینترویو بگیرن و بعد از اون هم توی AP قرار داده شدن و همچنان منتظر هستن. آقای جوش توضیح دادن که کیسشون با توجه به این شرایط کاملا استدلال های محکمی داره و کوالیفای هستن که بتونن مندیمس فایل بکنن. ببینید، شما با فایل کردن مندیمس میتونید درخواست بدین که سریعتر به ویزاتون رسیدگی بشه. برای مثال دوستی به جای اینکه 1 سال منتظر باشه تا ویزاشو دریافت کنه، بعد از اینکه کوالیفای بشه برای فایل کردن مندیمس میتونید اقدام کنید و اصلا نیازی نیست که انقدر منتظر باشه. و ایشون هم توضیح دادن که بهترین گزینه برای این شرایط فایل کردن مندیمس هستش. That's great. And the other question is, he said, my cousin came to the US with the tourist visa while he had immigrant case, and he filed I-485, and he's in US now. How can I do that?
So the person, this is a great topic. So I'm glad the question was asked. The person said, listen, my cousin was stuck in administrative processing and he came into the US on a tourist visa and then filed an application for a green card in the US. How can I do that, right?
Yes, but you know, it's before the interview.
Before the interview.
Yeah.
Right. So when you think about it, why would anyone waste time with a consular processing system? If you have a visitor visa, why not just skip all that? Just come in on as a visitor and then apply for a green card. It seems like it's a lot easier and faster. You don't have to go through any of the waiting. You don't have to worry about administrative processing. Other people, you look around and other people seem to be doing that. Why not just skip this entirely? And I get another version of the question, which is where people say, look, I'm in administrative processing, but I have a visitor visa. Why can't I just use that? Why don't I just skip this? Or why don't I apply for a student visa or a visitor visa and then forget about my immigrant visa case and just come on in? And I can understand why that's tempting. The problem that you run into is this. A visitor visa, or ESTA, which is the equivalent of a visitor visa, you're not allowed to immigrate to the US with that entry. In order to come in as a visitor or to get a visitor visa, you have to prove that you have absolutely no intention whatsoever of doing exactly what you want to do, which is to immigrate to the US. So the visitor visa cannot be used for this purpose. And if you try to use a visitor visa or apply for a visitor visa to circumvent the consular processing system, what happens is you run the risk that your case goes sideways in a way that may be very difficult or impossible to fix. What am I talking about specifically? You come in as a visitor, you attempt to come in as a visitor while your immigrant visa case is pending. And instead of getting in, they say, okay, I'm sorry, please go to room 3, and we're going to ask you a few questions. And they start asking you questions. Who are you here to visit? Oh, how long are you going to stay? What are you doing here? And it becomes apparent that you're not a visitor. You're not here to go shopping or to go to a wedding or go to a conference or visit friends. You're here because you plan to move here. And so when I point this out, people are like, okay, well, how do I pretend I'm not a visitor? And then they ask me to basically help them commit visa fraud. Shortcuts make long delay. Do this the right way. If you're stuck in administrative processing, either wait it out or file a mandamus lawsuit, but don't try to go around it by using the visitor visa. If I thought that the visitor visa were a really great solution to visa delays, then I would have an entire channel devoted to using the visitor visa. I don't think the visitor visa is a great idea. I think it's how good cases die. The other problem that you face, if you're married or you have an immigrant visa case and you manage to get into the US on a visitor visa, and then you apply for a green card in the US by filing I-45, is that when you apply, then they start asking you very sharp questions at your interview about what your intentions were when you came in. Were you really a visitor? Really? Why? How is that possible that you were a visitor? So then you could be tagged with visa fraud. And at that point, you'd have to file a waiver for fraud. And the chances of getting a waiver for fraud approved are, first of all, it's a lot of work. It takes my team a lot of time to prepare fraud waivers. It's not fun for the clients. It's a lot more money and a lot more work and a lot lower chance of success than just doing a mandamus lawsuit to solve the visa delay. So shortcuts make long delay. Don't play games with the visitor visa, and you can get your visa approved, but you have to do it the right way. I hope that information was helpful.
Yeah, of course, it's helpful. Actually, yeah, it's very tempting for some applicants because they see their families in the US, they did that, and they ask why I cannot do this thing, you know. اوکی دوستان سوالی که پرسیده شد این هستش که دوستیم دیدن که در واقع یکی از اقوامشون با وجود اینکه کیس مهاجرتی داشتن ولی تونستن از طریق ویزای توریستی بیان امریکا و در واقع adjustment of status رو انجام بدن، فرم I-485 رو فایل کنن و الان دارن توی امریکا زندگی میکنن، منتظرن تا گرین کارتشون بیاد. آقای جاش توضیح دادن که ببینید اگر که شما بخواید در حالی که کیس فعال مهاجرتی دارین درخواست ویزای توریستی بدین، یک ریسکی رو قبول میکنید که در واقع میتونه ریسک بزرگی باشه، به این خاطر که شما برای ویزای توریستی باید اثبات بکنید که فقط قصدتون یک سفر کوتاهه برای مسافرت، کنفرانس یا یک مراسم ازدواج برای مثال. ولی وقتی که شما کیس فعال مهاجرتی دارین کاملا دارین نشون میده که قصد شما موندن توی امریکا هست. بنابراین احتمال این که به عنوان در واقع یک فراد به پرونده شما برچسب بزنن هم وجود داره. پیشنهاد ایشون این هست به جای اینکه دنبال این شورتکات باشین که در واقع یک جور دور زدن حساب میشه، بهتر مندیمس فایل کنید و سریعتر ویزای مهاجرتیتون رو بگیرید. اگر که این شورتکات انقدر آسان و روون بود ایشون کلا فوکس میکردن که به جای اینکه انقدر منتظر ویزای مهاجرتی باشین با ویزای توریستی بتونین سریعتر وارد امریکا بشین. ولی در عمل این امکان وجود نداره. Thank you so much, Josh.
Let me go back to one more question here from
Sure.
our friend and Mortals. Can I file a mandamus at 4 months lawsuit? I don't want to wait anymore. You absolutely can, and I very much hope that you email me. I'm going to put my email address up again. When you email me, put your name, your phone number, how I can reach you, and I'll respond and I'll connect you with my team, and we can take care of your case. Okay. Let's go to another question here. Prodigy, thank you for tuning in. Hello, Josh. I had my interview March 7th at the Lagos Embassy. At the interview, I provided all documents and evidence required, and the consulate kept my passport everywhere. I've been in AP ever since. I'm really sorry to hear that. I've sent so many emails, contacted LegalNet, Ombudsman Center, same replies. All right. So it's been how long, Prodigy? How long have you waited?
He said from March.
March 7th?
Yeah.
April, May, June, July. Let's call it 4 months.
Yeah.
So I think 4 months is plenty of time to wait. It takes our office 3 weeks or so to prepare and file a lawsuit. So by the time you file a lawsuit, I think you're probably at going to be around 5 months. So yeah, I mean, I typically like to wait about 6 months to file mandamus lawsuit in administrative processing. I think the longer you wait, the stronger your case is, but the longer you wait, the longer you wait. So there's that. Let's see here. What can you do? I think your priority date is January 2020. I think your priority date for your category has to be current. That's another thing. So if your spouse is a permanent resident or you're in a preference category, the first thing I checked is to make sure that it's current. And if it's not current, then you don't have an approvable case, so you have to keep waiting. And that's hard for a lot of people to accept because they're like, well, I was current at one point and then I'm not current anymore. And I get that. I understand that. We have Carol, who's a client of ours. She says, thanks for confirming to do the correct process for visas and not come in as a visitor visa, knowing that cutting corners is worse in the long run. We're happy doing the K-1 visa process. Thank you for confirming that. I know it's tempting. It seems like the right thing to do, or seems like it would make a lot of sense to just do the visitor visa, but I'm glad that you decided not to do that. And I'm really grateful for a chance to help you and your partner through this process the right way, which is always the best way because it's the least risky, right? Any other questions for us, Holly?
And the last question and the common one is there any discount for us? And yeah, and after that, I want to ask you, I know you filed hundreds of mandamus for many families, including Iranian families. So, what was the advantage of working with you for them, your clients?
Yeah, great question. I think that if someone is interested in hiring us or working with our firm, what I always like to do is to talk to people about the importance of their immigration case. What does it mean to you to get your immigration case approved quickly? How important is your immigration case to you? What would it mean? What would it mean for you to become a U.S. citizen, to get your work permit, to become a green card holder finally at long last, to get your visa unstuck and approved quickly? And then, I talk to them about their personal lives. What does this mean? How important is this? What are the stakes involved? And then I ask people to imagine what it would be like if your green card or your visa remains stuck and your wife's visa continues to be in administrative processing. or your naturalization application is not processed, or it's not done right, or you run into problems. And when you begin to have a conversation with someone about their personal life, about their goals, their values, their dreams, what they plan in the future, and they envision one scenario in which they succeed and another in which they struggle, then I think that the value of working with our team becomes clear, because we can do everything possible to give you the best chance for success in reaching your immigration goals. As far as the cost goes, we have made it something to be proud of that we charge a flat fee for our services. And we do that based on the specific case type that you have. So if you're interested in working with our firm and you need help, then what we would do is we would offer you a free strategy session with one of the directors of client engagement at our firm. And they would be able to figure out if first of all, if we can help you. And secondly, if we can help you, then how much it might cost for us to do the work. We always charge a flat fee for our specific services that we provide. And when people ask us for a discount, it's always a source of confusion. And I think that there's some cultural miscommunication that goes on. Um, we provide outstanding legal services, and providing outstanding legal services is not easy. You want a lawyer that's going to call you back. You want a team that's going to provide you with updates. You want the work done at the highest possible level. You want the work done in a timely manner. You want the highest possible quality for your case. And these are things that cannot be provided at a discount. And I think that my understanding is that many Persian people ask for a discount, and it's customary in their culture to get a discount, and that maybe professional services are highly negotiated. And this is counter to the way that we do business at our firm. We, in contrast to that, prioritize transparency in our pricing. We charge a flat fee. This is what we charge. And we think that we provide an immense value for our services, and we leave it at that. So I hope that no one is offended when we are not able to haggle or um, endlessly discuss what the price might be. We charge a price that we think is fair and reasonable, and we hope that our clients get value. I always tell people that when they hire our firm, I hope that they look back and they look back at it as being one of the best decisions of their lives to hire our firm. That's a high bar, but that's how I see things. And when I talk to prospective new clients and I see that there's an opportunity to help them, sometimes I think they think I'm crazy because I almost beg them to hire us, because I see something that we can do to improve their lives, and it seems it's like I want to help them so badly. And I hope that if anyone out there is struggling to reach their immigration goals, I encourage them to consider having a strategy session with our team.
That's perfect. I know and I see that you are so passionate to helping people getting their visas and being reunited with their families, their loved ones, and actually it's so hard. Many Iranian families cannot see their families in the US, and it's unfair. It's so actually hard. So thank you so much for explaining that. دوستان سوال رایجی که پرسیده میشه این هستش که آیا به ما تخفیف میدین؟ آیا ما میتونیم روی مندیمس تخفیف بگیریم؟ پاسخ آقای جاش این بود که در مرحله اول ایشون باید ارزیابی بکنن ببینن اصلا میتونن به شما کمک کنن یا خیر، چون کیسایی هست که شرایط متفاوتی دارن و کیساشون رو در واقع قبول نمیکنن، چون احتمال برنده شدن توی اون پرونده خیلی کم هست و همین خاطر کیسا پذیرفته نمیشه. مرحله اول این هست که شما فرم ارزیابی رایگان رو پر کنید. اگر که کوالیفای باشید برای منیمس میتونید یک جلسه رایگان بهش میگن استراتژی استیشن با یکی از در واقع وکیل های تیم آقای جاش داشته باشین و اینکه ایشون از شما میخوان به این فکر بکنین که اگر شما بتونید سریعتر ویزا بگیرید، گرین کارت بگیرید یا سیتیزن بشین، چه تاثیر مثبتی توی زندگی و کارتون و حتی تحصیلتون میتونید داشته باشه. اگر تصمیم گرفتید که Mandamus فایل کنید، در واقع تیم آقای جاش به واسطه سابقه زیادی که دارن و خدمات حرفه‌ای با کیفیت بالا ارائه میدن، براشون ممکن نیست که بتونن به شما تخفیف بدن، چون اینکه شما همیشه یک وکیل اویلیبل باشه برای کیستون، آپدیت های کیستون رو بهتون خبر بده، هر زمان سوال داشتین بهشون دسترسی داشته باشین، بتونن از تجربه‌ای که برای صدها کیس وجود داره استفاده کنن که استدلال‌های قوی برای کیسشون بیارن. اینها هزینه بر هست برای خودشون و نگه داشتن این کیفیت بهشون امکان رو نمیده که بتونن دیسکانت بذارن روی خدماتشون و این اصلا به این معنی نیست که ایشون مایل نیستن این کار رو انجام بدن، بلکه ارائه خدمات توی این سطح براشون هزینه بالایی داره و قیمتی که دارن قیمت کاملا شفاف و ثابتی هستش. شما اگر که از چند جا کد بگیرین و قیمت رو مقایسه کنین میبینید که قیمت روی نرم هست و ایشون خیلی خوشحال میشن که بتونن بهتون کمک کنن که سریعتر ویزاتون رو دریافت کنین. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. You answered many questions today, and I know it's helpful for many Iranians as well. And if you have any recommendation or any notes.
My final message to everyone is that you should not be discouraged. You can reach your immigration goals. The correct mindset that everyone needs to have is a relentless determination to succeed. And you should try to avail yourself of every resource that you can, and don't give up on your dreams, because you can do it. And I'll leave you with that. And I want to thank you again. Take care.